Sit! Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
He's Garrett Price.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I hope I have a voice after doing an hour and a half last show on running backs, and we recorded these shows back to back since Garrett drives 3 hours from Columbus to get in here.
Speaking of back to back, you all right there?
Oh,
what do you got going on
I
there?
can't find my
Back
other headband.
to back.
It's back there.
Oh, can you see it? Can you help me?
Help.
Can you strap my bra?
Help me, Tom Cruise.
Thank you so much. You're handsome. All
Help
right.
me, Oprah Winfrey.
So no need for chit chat. We got a lot to get into. Let's go ahead and dive in with our first rookie running back prospect. Not first. He's our 7th overall player we're talking about.
Omarion Hampton. Omarion.
Somebody pays Omarion.
Omarion Hampton, North Carolina running back. 5'11" 3/4, 221 pounds, 9 3/8 inch hands. He's only 21 years old. 3/16 is his birthday, so he'll be turning 22. I think, right? What's the date today?
Next Sunday.
Yep.
I leave for the Dominican that day.
There we go. You're gonna be there for St. Patty's Day in the Dominican?
Yeah. I'm drinking.
You're gonna miss the parade. I'm just
I haven't
kidding.
been in a parade in 20 years.
I'm kidding, man. In the 40, he ran 4.46. He had a 1.54 10-yard split, and in the 20-yard shuttle, he ran 4.4 flat. He had a broad jump of 130 inches and 38-inch vertical, so he had some pretty good ups there. With the 29th ranked run blocking offensive line in front of him last year, he attempted 281 rushes, 1,660 yards rushing, 15 rushing touchdowns, 38 receptions, 373 yards receiving, and an additional 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so before we go into my report on Omarion Hampton is I want to go back to those combine numbers you just read off. Those are him and Quinshon Judkins. Unbelievable numbers.
Fantastic numbers.
6 foot 221 with those numbers. You know, the 4.46, the 10 foot 10 inch, 38 vert. You're like, I mean, unbelievable.
Did you say 6 foot? He's 5'11" 3/4.
So 6 foot.
So I'm 6 foot then. All right, cool guys. I just wanted to get the kind of verification.
I've claimed that for years.
So Omarion Hampton out of UNC was a name everybody should be familiar with by this point. He's getting mocked in the first round of a lot of NFL drafts. And again, not a player who on a name basis and a couple highlights, like I didn't watch any film on him. I didn't know. So boy, I sit down and watch this film and I got strapped in, and because I mean, Hampton's tape is like, dude, it's just like watching a bulldozer just like easily crush like some kids like cardboard, you know, when you made the cardboard houses out of the refrigerator boxes and stuff like that, you know, like versus like an army tank. That's what it's like watching Hampton out there. It's kind of like I described him because like he doesn't do anything that's like, oh wow, look at that move, or do like look at that sweet, like then he's just off for 30 yards on the edge, or he hit the hole for 30 yards. And you and I were talking, I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like Derrick Henry a little bit, right? Like just a big, powerful running back that like, no, like Derrick Henry's got very good feet, but like all of a sudden, like he's just gone, big touchdown run. Like where'd that come from?
He's not crazy shifty, right?
Yes.
And like that kind of stuff.
He's not like a super creative runner that's going to make a bunch of people miss. He's going to go forward and he's going to knock people out of the way. And if there's daylight, he's off to the races.
Yeah. If you want to see what Omarion Hampton brings to the table, just go ahead in the Dynasty Nerds film room, click on the all 22 film room, get in the all 22 film room, click on the Florida State game. Just click on that game alone. It's a highlight reel.
It is.
Highlight reel, just barreling down, squares up his pads, legs churning, freight train, no brakes, highlight reel in a moment. He's just absurd. I mean, I've seen him like take a linebacker in the chest and just spin out of it like it's nothing and pick up another 8 yards down there. He has that power. This comes from the ideal NFL side. Dude's built like a bodybuilder who just moonlighted as a bouncer. Like it's ridiculous him out there. I mean, he's just absolutely jacked. I mean, check out the Clemson game. I mean, dude, he's just stacking moves off tackle, sudden lateral cut, and then he's gone. He penetrates the hole. I mean, he's out there like driving through like, dude, he'll wreck a safety like he's in the Wreck-It Ralph movie. Like it's unbelievable. He's just out there destroying people. His short yardage, people say it's his bread and butter because he's big and powerful. His goal line, he's money there. But this guy, he will lower his shoulder, hit the edge, get to the outside, He'll break off some good runs. His vision's better than I thought it could be.
Second highest grade in the class for me.
Yeah, really impressed with his vision for how big he is. And so even like that, he could plow somebody over. He's not stubborn enough to like go out there and find the right lane. I mean, I saw some tape against Minnesota where like, you know, sometimes like where, hey man, if you just like don't take some of your size and pivot off that and bounce outside, or you can even a little bit farther, but he's not afraid to get in there and
not
lower,
afraid to mix it up for sure.
and get out there. So for me, this is somebody who is an NFL running back that you could put out there day one and give this dude 25 carries. Day one, out the gate. He's a running back, 3-down running back. It's why he's being talked about in the first round. A running back, one upside. If I am in a startup, I am taking him amongst probably my top 12 running backs. Now, to be fair, he's not my running back 2 currently. It's Trevion Henderson. But again,
it's pretty close, right?
Yeah, it's very him, Trevion, and Judkins are unbelievably close. And I'd probably have it Trevion, Hampton, Judkins. And just like I like Henderson's ability to pass game, his explosive in the passing game, that PPR upside, the offset Hampton's strong run style. And listen, Hampton's fine in the passing game too. He's
not lacking there at all.
He is just fine in the passing game. I like him there as well.
Catching the ball, for sure.
But like that being said, like I'm putting all 4 of those guys. There'll probably be another guy sides in there too in my top 12 running backs if you take Ashton Genty. So that's 3, 4. So those guys 4 are all my top 12. So for me, when you look at a guy with excellent vision, prototypical size at the running backs side, fantastic athleticism and speeds. Where like again, he's not going to sit there and juke you out of your shoes, but he does not need to. He does not. His feet are good enough. He is an absolute home run threat. It was an absolute pleasure watching his film.
He likes to move forward. You know what I mean? Like he's not one of those guys that wants to move side to side. He wants to go and he wants to go forward and he has subtle moves. And so there's a lot there to like. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was end up saying he has running back 1, not running back. I mean, could he be running back 1 overall? Of course, anybody who gets a 3-down running back can be a running back 1 overall, but he has got running back 1 written all over him. And it's going to really come down to a preference, right? Like, who do you like? And I personally think the way it's going to shake down is like, he's going to probably be the second running back. I wouldn't be surprised if Trevion's is second back off the board, or maybe sometimes we get shocked in Judkins. Remember when Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the first running back off the board? We were shocked. Maybe Judkins is the second running back off the board, but I would suspect for an NFL team wise, him and the Denver Broncos would be absolutely disgusting. Hampton and the Broncos would be like almost to the point of like, oh yeah, Ashton Genty. Like remember we talked about last show, like, oh, I can't believe I traded out a 1-2 and get my first next year. If like Hampton goes to the first round of the Broncos, I'm like, I should have just kept my first next year.
Stayed, dang it.
But this is just like, because again, as special as Genty is, it does not matter how special you are. It matters the offense you are in and how many touches you get. Again, I always compare this to like, is Alvin Kamara the best running back in the NFL? Absolutely not. But his skill set and the scheme he plays in has made him a perennial all-pro Hall of Fame fantasy football running back. Hampton has that skill set to give you just that. Where if Hampton outproduced Genty from a fantasy football standpoint, like I wouldn't be blown away.
I'm not sure. I mean, for me, I don't know that he is the Joker type of guy. I mean, I know he can do everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's the Joker kind of guy that Sean Payton's looking for.
Okay. Put him in Pittsburgh.
I think Pittsburgh would be a fine spot because I think
I'd love him in Cleveland.
That's the type of guy. Yeah, exactly. I'd love him in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He is the 3-down guy that he can grind out games at the end of them and stuff like that. He's got the physical, stature to do all that kind of stuff. He's I liken him to like a Joe Mixon type of guy who catches passes well. He can grind out games. He can do the early work, but still clean up games towards the end of them. There's no reason.
I literally had his draft profile pulled up. He was the love child of Joe Mixon and Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah,
for me.
That's a big Jonathan Stewart guy.
I totally get that, and so there's
Chase Stewart, another good comp.
There's not a lot to dislike about
first round,
Hampton.
13th overall.
Yeah.
The only thing that I saw on tape where I was kind of like, he needs to improve on that is his pass pro, and he did a good job mirroring and identifying rushers and defenders that he was supposed to. He just half-assed it once he got there. He would hit him,
clean up his technique a little bit.
He would just hit him, and then that was it. Like there was no sustained blocking, and there was times where he should have, and it got his quarterback hit. So that was a ding that I had on him. Another one, he runs a little upright,
A little bit.
but he still generates power doing it. So you know what I mean? Like could it improve? Probably. If he dropped his pads, he probably could be even better and more powerful, but he's still getting away with it the way he's running now. So it's not like a major thing for me. And like you said,
Burst is just okay. Like he's like more big, like his speed's just fine, but he's like a 1-speed runner, as well.
Yeah, he doesn't have necessarily that like second gear.
Kind of that kind of reminded me of the Derrick Henry style as well.
So to get to some of the run blocking numbers, all that kind of stuff, he had the 29th best.
One of the better ones.
Yeah, so he had one of the better run blocking offensive lines. His yards after contact, 1,222. So another guy that's got more yards after contact than some players that we've talked about yesterday, and obviously across the whole nation, just yards after contact, and 10 plus yard rushes, 45, which was fourth, 15 plus 26, which was also fourth, and 728 yards on those 15 plus yard runs, which is good for fifth. So he does some things. He's got some long game to him, at least at the NFL collegiate level. At the collegiate level. We'll see if he translates that into the NFL. But a lot to like. Omarion Hampton is a very interesting guy. He is going to be second or third, depending on kind of how that falls out in the NFL draft.
Yeah, they said the way Joker's like, Trevor Henderson would really fit in that Broncos offense.
I feel like Trevor Henderson is a little bit more of a Joker type of player.
He's the Alvin Kamara for
absolutely.
Payne, for sure.
I love Omarion Hampton. It was funny because I watched him for the first time. I watched him right after Ashton Genty, and I was like, he's good, but maybe. And I even had him on some C2C teams. So I was like, I don't want to be biased. I think he's just good, maybe not great. But I went back and I tried to do this with some of the first guys I watched. I really tried to go back and watch a second time, and I was like, I don't know what was wrong with me, what was off, but like this guy's incredible. Like maybe I was trying too hard. Like sometimes I do that with Ohio State guys too, where I try to like dampen everything because I really don't want to be biased. So if I was in on somebody a long time, like Travis Etienne is a perfect example. I was in on him for a long time, and then when I really got into a save, I was like, actually, I don't love him. So that happens from time to time. When I went back and watched that, I was like, man, I'm way too low. Like this guy is incredible. I mentioned just a second ago, Jonathan Stewart and Joe Mixon were the kind of guys that came to mind. They can do a little bit of everything, but man, they play with just an attitude, a physicality. And when you look at this offense, their starting quarterback got hurt week 1. So all season they're playing with their backup quarterback that's more of an athlete, and they were not a threat to throw the football.
Oh,
they were not a threat at all to throw the football. So defenses were just keying in on him every single play. Yep. And it did not matter. It did not matter. He did it the year before as well. Like every time he stepped on the field, he would make and even though I didn't give him a great elusive score, there were times he made some guys miss. They weren't big, exaggerated dead leg moves or anything like that. But he had a little bit of what I see in Jonathan Taylor, where it's almost like those skiers that just kind of make like just those little adjustments.
I have the same exact note. Like I wrote that he's not a laterally explosive guy, but don't get me wrong. Like I saw him make guys miss, and they're lateral subtle moves.
Good feet.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And so his eyes match his feet, and it all is very harmonious in the process. But then he plays with that physicality too. So there's the beauty of like the jazz in his game, and then you have like the heavy metal in his game as well. And it all just is married so beautifully together. It's crazy. I talked about how high I am on this class. He has a 77.58 in this class, which is actually good for 4th all time.
Wow.
For me. So
who's the first 3? Bijan,
Dobbins, and then we'll get to Travion Henderson, and then Omarion Hampton. Bijan was first.
Yeah.
And then Dobbins, and then Travion, then Hampton.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, and we'll never fully know what Dobbins could have been we've obviously seen glimpses of it, and he had a good year this year, but those injuries sapped a lot of what could have been really special for JK.
Man, I just hope he signs like during free agency. We don't see him like people wait till after the NFL draft to see if they get the guy they want, because he deserves to be a starter running back in the NFL.
He does. He showed it this year, despite, I mean, what used to be a career-ending injury with an Achilles. He's come back and he's still done some really solid things. So I think he could have been one of those, not elite, but like special type of running backs, not like generational, but special running backs, had all these injuries not taken place.
Agreed. All right, so let's move on to our next running back here. Ollie Gordon II, Oklahoma State running back, 6'1" 3/8", 226 pounds, 9.5-inch hands. He is 21 years old. He just kind of turned 21 in January, so he's another young one. He ran a 4.61 in the 40 with a 1.6 yard split, 120-inch broad jump, 34.5-inch vertical. He had the 67th best run blocking offensive line in front of him last year at Oklahoma State, and he rushed for 880 yards on 190 attempts and 13 touchdowns, 29 receptions, 179 yards receiving, and another touchdown.
And before Garrett gets to this tape, I just want to start off by saying 880 yards, 13 touchdowns. When he was coming off a campaign that he was Dynasty running back 1 by a landslide, because in 2023, because I had to go back and watch a little 23 tape as well, 1,732 yards, 21 touchdowns, was a Doka Walker Award winner and Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year.
He also pieced together 39 receptions for 333 yards and an additional touchdown.
You guys took all my
2023. So listen,
I gotta say this before. I gotta make sure.
Well, just in case you didn't say, I don't know. Sorry.
So I went and dug into that a little bit, like what the heck was the big difference there, and the yards before contact went drastically down for Ollie Gordon in 2024 compared to 2023. He was all the way up at 4 yards per carry before contact in 2023, 1.8 in 2024. So it went down quite a bit.
Yeah, 1.5.
Yeah. You guys introed it great. He was a fantastic runner in the year before, former Doak Walker Award winner. And yes, he had a fantastic 2023 campaign.
Before you get going, I just want to say, and yes, he had a 20. Before you say anything, I want to say he had a fantastic 23 campaign. All right, sorry, Greg. I just want to get out before the audience.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
We know you might not get a chance to talk, so we got to make sure to get it out there.
What a dick move by me. I apologize. I usually don't feel bad, but I do feel bad. I'm like, oh man, he probably was going to say that.
I play Debbie. I'm aware of him.
I know you. No, I know you know.
Right.
You, but like I want to when he read out the stats, I thought it's such like a huge.
It is
like talking point. That's the biggest thing with Ollie Gordon. So I wanted to be the premise that we're kind of talking off here, because like I'm literally, I get to mine is like literally a tale of two cities. Like
it is.
2 years.
It is. And if you go back, because I had to do the same thing. I had to watch some 23 tape and 24 tape. I even talked to Matt Cooper, who, if you guys appreciate the film room, he's the one that puts a lot of work and organizes all of it and gets the guys cut into certain games. And that was one thing I asked him. I said, hey, thank you so much for getting the 24 tape. I don't normally ask for this specifically, but can you give me some 23 tape as well? And he's like, yeah, we can make that happen before. And he got us some 23 games as well. And even before that, I watched just some broadcast games because I wanted to get kind of a feel for it. And I don't think, sometimes you watch guys and they're like, they're a very different player from one year to another. He's the same guy. Nothing changed with him specifically. It was the team and the environment around him that changed fairly drastically. I was honestly, when I went and looked at the PFF grades and saw 67, even though that's very just pedestrian, it's literally almost exactly, actually that's dead center, I think 134.
I think, yeah.
So it's literally like dead center of just an average offensive line. I was surprised it was in the top 100. Honestly, it was a very, very bad run blocking offensive line. Everything I saw there was he had to fight every single play, it seemed like, to just try to get anything going, which made him a really, really difficult evaluation when going through there. I thought his vision was good, but I did not love his patience. And I think part of that kind of reminds me of Cam Akers, a little while back, where he started getting into some bad habits because he didn't trust his line. And rightfully so, but it did sort of start to develop some habits that he didn't have in his sophomore campaign that he did have in his junior campaign.
Do you also think that teams are just keying on him as well? I mean, coming off of 1,700. I mean, like, let's stop that guy. Screw everything. Like, let's see what else. Let's see what else these guys got here.
Yep, I saw that on tape.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's what I felt.
But the one thing I want to give him some credit for, because he is a very physical runner.
Yep.
He does have some good contact balance, and he's actually got some pretty solid straight line speed. Now, he's not super elusive. He's not going to like make you miss and that kind of stuff. That's not his game. But when we talk about Derrick Henry, like, he is more in that vein and style of runner, very big, 6'1", the 220 plus. Like, he's a bigger player. Nobody is Derrick Henry. So please don't take this as a Derrick Henry comp. It's just stylistically build and whatnot is not too dissimilar. All that being said, you mentioned about all of the times that he got hit in the backfield. That was something that I was actually surprisingly impressed with, because we did see so many guys in the backfield, and typically runners that are not short area quickness merchants, speed merchants,
Right.
really, really struggle with guys in the backfield. He did better than I expected. He still had a lot of tackles for loss and things like that, but there were several times where he problem solved and figured out a way to get back to the line of scrimmage or get a 1 to 2 yard gain. Are those types of things going to show up on the stat sheet? No.
Well, they do. They show up as a 0 yard run,
right,
or a 1 to 2 yard run, which looks horrible,
which looks really bad. Yeah. So I think there are things here that make his game deceptive. Now, I always thought he was a little bit overrated, and now he's gotten to the point where maybe he's a little bit underrated. So it's probably somewhere in the middle. He ended up with, I talked about it in the very first show, ended up with my 12th rated running back. But most years he would be 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth. 72.35. Really good with breaking tackles. Great physicality. Surprisingly good in pass pro as well. I thought he did a really good job there. There's some things he needs to clean up and whatnot, but overall, and obviously has the frame to be able to do it well. Receiving isn't going to be a strong part of his game, but I don't think he's deficient there to where he can't do it. But I don't see him as necessarily the receiving back as like a 3-down back.
I'm going to fight you on one thing, and it's the pass pro.
Okay.
For me, I saw him diving at people's feet, trying to cut them an awful lot.
He did do that a lot. Yep.
And it was very mixed results. And even when he was going out on a pass and he was tasked with chipping a guy, I saw him basically whiff on a couple of those.
Okay.
Well.
I'll go back and watch that more closely. Maybe I missed something.
Yeah. So that was like one of my concerns with him. But in the couple of times that I saw him square a dude up, he looked great.
He dominated. Yeah.
Yeah. He looked great doing that. He needs to eliminate the cut blocking and just give a little bit more effort on some of those chips and kind of just really focus on getting a piece of the guy instead of
that makes sense. Maybe I missed a couple of those misses, because I was say I remember him squaring some guys up and he had some real good punch.
He did.
And you saw the hips all the way through. So maybe I missed a couple of the whiffs that he had or something like that.
Maybe it was just one of those things. I just kept seeing him diving at people's feet and missing, and the dude just easily hopping over him.
Sure.
And like it can work for a smaller back.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That could be sometimes the only way you
takes you a lot longer to get down there at his height compared to 5'8".
You're 226 pounds, dude. Square the guy up, man. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure a professional coach would tell him the exact same thing.
Sure.
So I wouldn't expect that to be an issue going forward, but big physical guy all the way across the board. So I think you nailed it. I don't have a ton of extra stuff to add on to that. I don't think. The speed and burst, I think, is adequate, right? 4.6 is not going to blow anyone away, but I think his playing speed is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the pass catching, I think, is there. He's a big guy. Like there's something there to, I think, be interested in Ollie Gordon. I just don't know where he's going to be taken in the NFL draft, because there was such a drop off.
Sure.
If NFL, NFL evaluators don't dig in too much about any of this stuff. They might just see this, hey, maybe the guy kind of fell off and not give him the time of day, or hey, we got better options. This is a really loaded class. He could go end up slipping a little bit and going a little bit further down, especially, running one of the slower 40s out of the whole group. You know what I mean? Sure. He's bringing that average that was like 4.48 down instead of one of the guys bringing it up. So it's a little bit hard to nail down, but I think he's got the type of skill set that he could be a 3-down back if he finds his way into a job. So from that perspective, he's interesting.
Yeah, I think Garrett summed it up pretty good there in his whole take, and then saying, at one point he was overrated. Now I do kind of feel like he is slightly underrated, and part of me is kind of happy he ran a 4.61 because it kind of might push him down a little bit more for me in some rookie drafts, like late second possibly, because people are like, oh, 4.61, it's slow. It's actually pretty fast. Definitely for a guy of his size. He's 6'1", 221. I mean, he's a big dude, and it shows. And when you're looking at his tape, I said it's like a tale of two seasons, right? Like 2023 is like his 21st birthday. 2024 is the hangover. Right? That's where he's at. So like, I mean, you go back to 2023, like you watch him at versus Kansas State. I mean, this guy's big, strong. He's running through the gap. He's stiff arming defensive backs like they're walking on banana peels. Like it's ridiculous out there. His vision looked good. He looked sharp. He said his cutbacks were nice in 2023. I watched him against BYU. He's breaking shoulders there. He's just literally stiff arming people and just like push him to the ground like he's Thanos, right? Like, give me that stone. So 6'1", 226 is ridiculous. I mean, he does offer that 3-down potential, which is not a lot of running backs offer that because he does have soft hands. Like, I appreciate his hands. And then you go back in the same player and you go back. I mean, and I understand like your pass per toe. I saw some of that too. Like, it needs some work. Like, but he's capable. It just needs, I think he needs some coaching.
Yeah, he's capable.
Yeah, he's definitely coachable. So, like, this is a guy that can go out there and just dominate with pure size and God-given attributes, right? You go to 2024, you watch him versus Baylor, and it's like, oh my God, this team, like you said, the teams, that's where I noticed, like, I was like, I'm going to watch a little 2023. I want to see him at his best and like what went wrong, what looks different. And like how you said, like, he's pretty much the same player, but man, the offensive line, I'm with you. Like when he said it was like the middle of the pack, like it looked,
I'm surprised it was in top 100.
It looked absolutely terrible there. So you get that. The QB looked terrible. And I saw the defense are just literally stacking the box. It's like a Black Friday sale out there, just fucking stacking them up.
And that's the thing. Maybe the grade, that 67 grade, it's based off of them blocking the guys that are in front of them that they're assigned to block.
Sure.
It doesn't account for extra rushers. It doesn't count for blitzes, like run blitzes, which I think was heavily kind of a thing that was happening against them this year.
I mean, he's tight-hipped, doesn't offer a lot of wiggle whatsoever. And, the concern is like with Ollie Gordon, again, I'm really intrigued to see where he goes, where he's drafted, because for him to have he needs to be a 3-down running back to be like a successful dynasty running back. Like there's no really is Ollie Gordon a starter or they're not? Because he doesn't bring that, he doesn't bring all, he's not the best, I think he's fine any NFL team as a complimentary back. But from a dynasty fantasy football perspective, if he's just like a complimentary back, it's like him, like a little, him and whoever, like J.K. Dobbins, I feel like his ceiling's a little bit more capped.
He reminds me, if we're going to go back to comps, if you remove this guy as his pass catching ability, because I think the guy I'm going to comp him to is a much better pass catcher, but the rest of their games I think are pretty similar, and it's Zach Charbonnet. I see these two in a very similar, big physical running backs, don't have the best feet in the world, but when you get them moving in a straight line, they can make guys miss and they can use their physicality to run guys over. So I see them in a similar light. I just think Zach Charbonnet's a better pass catcher.
Garrett, I absolutely love that because I was the one that was saying I kind of saw Zach Charbonnet a little bit as overrated, where the Dynasty community had him super high. And I was like, listen, Kenneth Walker is just a significantly better running back.
Yeah.
And he won the second round. He had the draft capital to back it up. A lot of people like this tape, but I hated the situation he was in. And I said the day after NFL draft, people were like, I was like, I don't think I would take Zach Charbonnet in the top 24 picks. And everybody on the big thing on the show was like, whoa, really that low? I'm like, yeah, dude, I just don't know where the value is. Cause if he's not the guy, which again, if Zach Charbonnet was the guy and we saw this in Seattle, he's fine. I want him in my dynasty roster. But if I absolutely, I didn't even thought about that. I love that comp for Ollie Gordon 100% because if he's not the guy, that's what he is. Somebody you're never started on your roster, capable, yeah, good, yeah. He's the guy. He's a running back one. So I absolutely love that comp. You go somewhere like that, like the same similar kind of skill set, like a Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Then
it could be tough.
I'll say the same thing. Like, there's too many running backs here. I'm probably never going to take Ollie Gordon in my top 24. And you're like, whoa, what do you mean? He's your running back 12. Like, sorry, don't love the situation. I love that comp.
The one thing is he's on the opposite end of the spectrum though, right? Because he's not hyped. He's not overhyped. Like,
yeah, right.
So, like you might be able to get him at the top part of the third right now. You know what I mean? Like that.
Right. Probably. Scatterboot's going to third a lot of these mocks.
So
not for me.
So Ollie Gordon, I don't think it'd be crazy that Ollie Gordon in this draft goes in the third round of rookie draft.
It was more, I think I'm more so not the players themselves.
Sure. No,
it's more like the situation.
The situation. You know, I get it. Yeah.
Draft pedigree, people like the player. Because everybody, listen, sometimes when you get in these situations, like people just like, oh, who do I draft here? They see the name Ollie Gordon. They're thinking 23. They're thinking so the name value does hold, like Trevor Etienne is going to be another example of something like that. Like, a name value is going to hold some merit in some people's drafts.
So let me ask you this. Because he's on the opposite end of the spectrum, let's say he goes to a situation where he isn't like, there isn't a clear path. There's clearly a better running back on, but you can get a middle of the third round. Are you interested then?
If he goes to another path, like say he goes to Baltimore.
He goes to Baltimore. He goes to the Chargers. He goes to like some of these more power run schemes.
Yeah, but Chargers is a clear path, so I won't say that.
That's true, but even if they sign J.K. Dobbins and
then he went there, yeah.
So are you interested there, middle of the third round? Or do you think just that situation? Because if there's definitely a better running back there, and he might still be available in the third round.
You're talking about pick. And I said in the second round, like
27,
3-1. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about 26, 26. Yeah, for sure. I like his tape. Right. I think he's, like I said, I think you paint a good picture there when you said like not much change with him. Like he's still a very solid running back. He's the kind of running back that wins in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Anyone that rushes for 1,700 yards in a college season,
they got some skill.
There's something there. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm definitely I'm interested in the third round. I may be interested at the back end of the second round. Even in like a
depends the landing spot.
Yeah. I want to see where he goes. I said Kenneth Walker at the time, 22, 23. You're like, this is drastically different than like a Derrick Henry. Even though I love Trey Benson, say like the Cardinals took him. You know what I mean? Something like that. Where does he go? Like is
he backs up Joe Mixon
or he goes to Houston. If he goes to Cincinnati, where like again, I think Chase Brown is very replaceable and he's very high in people's rankings. Like this would be a situation like almost like a Rashad White situation. Like, ooh, I see Ollie Gordon. I see a path there for Gordon over a guy like Chase Brown. Kind of push Chase Brown back to that like pass catching kind of like third.
Well, they just said that they want to complement him with a physical back.
That would be a great end of the third round. Sure. The Bengals
it'd be a really good fit for Ollie Gordon. A really good fit.
Both team
that scenario. All of a sudden now he's second round for me, probably mid second round. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's got a wide range of like where he is going to end up in my final rankings. Mm-hmm. But overall, just on a tape score, like he's right. Like I like where you have like right around 12. No. Like it seems like a pretty good spot for him because like there's other guys I feel a little bit more comfortable. Guys like Dylan Sampson,
sure,
but at least he has the talent where like he could like. I think your nerd score kind of shows he has the potential to be a running back one in fantasy.
Yeah, getting over a 72, like you are definitely fantasy relevant. But there's a capped ceiling at the moment, and we'll see if he can break through that or not.
This show's littered. This is a really good show of running backs.
There's all of the shows are so good.
Let's move on to the next guy here.
I only focus on what's in front of me.
Jordan James, Oregon running back, 5'9.5", 205 pounds, 9.25-inch hands. He's 20 years old. He's going to be 21 at the end of this month. In the 40, he ran a 4.55. He had a 1.62 10-yard split, so a little bit on the slow side on both of those. Broad jump, 117 inches. He didn't participate in the vertical or any of the other 3-cone or 20-yard shuttles or any of that. He had the 42nd best run blocking offensive line last year, and had 233 rushing attempts, 1,267 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns, 26 receptions, 209 yards receiving, and 0 additional touchdowns.
Jordan James out of Oregon is a running back that I remember. First game of the year last year versus Ohio State. And I remember watching him like, look at this little jittery scat back there against Ohio State. I mean, put that guy in some leather and put him in a heist movie. Have him start dodging those laser beams not to set off the alarm. Look at him out there. He's got those hips are so
thought
loose.
You were going Matrix, not alarms. All right. I got you now. Heist.
I mean, dude, his stop-start quickness, fantastic.
Yeah,
He can run through arm tackles as well. So he's over the 200 pound metric at 5'9.5" at 205. So he's got some there. He's got a strong lower half there. He could be kind of like you mentioned, like the Cam Akers effect. He'd be a little bit, get his head in front of his feet sometimes and just kind of like go, which I don't love that because a lot of times they can't fix that. It's a huge hindrance in the NFL. You're up running in the back of your guard's ass half the time there. But overall, I mean, when you're looking at it from a PPR, this guy's got the juice, right? Like this guy could be a third down running back. He had 1,476 scrimmage yards, like Matt said, and he played in the Big Ten. So it's not like he's out here playing in some crazy conference. Like he's playing again. It's a Big Ten. And honestly, the Big Ten was the best conference in college football this year. Like defenses were fantastic. So for me, when I'm looking for guys, like there's always those guys, those PPR running backs that gonna be in like high end running back twos for like a couple of years. The Danny Woodheads, the James Whites, those kind of players. Yeah. So Jordan James to me falls in that category. I came away pretty impressed with this film. I think he offers PPR upside. Real excited to see where he goes. Outside of like where I said Ollie Gordon, he's like a great complimentary back to somebody. Like put him and Ollie Gordon on the same team, to be honest with you, and I'm a pretty happy camper.
Absolutely. No, I think, he's a quicker than fast guy, right? I think his 40 says that all kind of right there. He is laterally twitchy. You know what I mean? And he gets up to speed pretty quick. So he's quick and he's not fast, but he's quick both in a straight line and laterally. So he's explosive. But not necessarily top end. He's missing that third gear, right? Yep. Maybe even that. Maybe I think he's got the second gear. He just doesn't have that third gear.
Twitchy.
Yeah.
1.5.
So like you said, Rich, he's an odd guy because he's 5'9", 205, but he navigates the line pretty well. I think he can do some stuff between the tackles. I don't know that's where he wants to live in the NFL, but I think he can do it well enough, and he catches passes. And I think that's going to be really, his bread and butter in the NFL is kind of one of these complimentary roles when he gets maybe 5 to 7 rushes a game, and then you might get 5 to 7 catches a game out of the guy. And that's kind of, you get that nice little split. And if he scores a touchdown, you're looking at 15 to 17 points and you're feeling pretty good about your day. And
that's where I want him to focus on. Cause like in college on his tape, everything I saw, at least like everything was just kind of like check downs to him. Like everything was, there's no like, he's not like, oh, this pass. I don't want to say like, oh, he's a third down PPR running back. Like I saw some guy out there running really good routes either and kind of like doing that. Like a lot of it was just like check down throws, but he did.
It looks like it would translate.
Yeah, it looks like it will translate. And he's only 20 years old. So he's one of the younger prospects. He's one of the youngest prospects in this class.
And I don't want it to listen, we're going to do a comp here. I'll do a comp here. Oregon has a type of back that they want. And there are similarities you can draw between him and Bucky Brooks from last year.
Or Bucky Irving.
I mean, Bucky.
He would be a great commentator.
He would be a great.
Now with Daniel Jeremiah.
Dang it, Bucky Irving. Because both guys are a little bit undersized. They catch passes well, but even at that undersized, they were able to operate between the tackles. Mm-hmm. And neither one of them are going to blow you away with their 40. I think it was pretty much identical. I think Bucky was a 4.55. So was Jordan James 4.55.
Yeah. Bucky, I mean, he's epitome of somebody that doesn't tuss well, but then it's awesome.
Right. And we see that almost every year. Kyron Williams was another one of those guys.
I don't know what Bucky Brooks's 40 was, but Bucky Irving's
back in the day.
It's like he loses probably pretty good. It's probably a little slow, but back in the day, you're right. He was a pretty good player.
But I think there's enough there that you can draw some parallels. I don't think they're the exact same player, and I think Bucky Irving's probably slightly better.
Typecast similar though,
but they are typecast, and they're going to do a lot of the same things. I think in the NFL for a team.
Yeah, it's another one of these guys that for me is just kind of hurt because the class is so good. Like he has he got over a 70, which is a solid score, 70.1 for me. I was really impressed with his patience. I thought he really saw things well, saw the holes develop well, pressed the line, and then was able, when the hole opened up, was able to be quick too. So slow to and quick through. Like he did that really well. So he's a very technically sound runner, I think. He's not gonna. Yeah, you're right. He's not gonna blow you away with athleticism. He's elusive enough. I don't know that I think he's like super elusive, but I gave him like a slightly above average grade on that. I think he has the ability to catch passes well. He's got good pad level. Although he's not a physical player, he gives you everything that his body allows for him to.
Maximizes what he's got.
Yeah. So I don't think that's a worry. Like if you were like, if you said we're going to use Brashard Smith at the goal line, I'd be like, you're going to do what? If you said that you're going to use Jordan James on the goal line, and be like, okay, I could see that. Yep. Like, he's small, but he's compact.
Yep.
And I think that he has enough punch. He's got enough leg drive to get that done. The score isn't amazing, but he's another one of these guys where if he went in the 5th round, it wouldn't surprise me. If he snuck into the 3rd round, it wouldn't really surprise me either. So I think it's all going to depend on what's a team looking for? What do they want? I've seen a lot of people that have Jordan James in their top 10. I don't personally have him in the top 10, but it's not because I think he's a bad back. I just think, if he has to go up against some of these other names, the Dylan Sampsons, the Tutons, guys like that, I just think he falls a little bit short of those kind of guys.
Listen, I like peanut butter ice cream. I like vanilla ice cream. I like strawberry ice cream. I like mint chocolate chip a little bit more. No, strawberry and mint chocolate chip are probably my top 2.
Ooh. Both are good.
Yeah, but
Moose Tracks is number 1 for me. But then
not too much chocolate.
Mint chocolate chips at or near the top of my list.
I'm a big waffle cone here at the house.
Yeah.
Like waffle cone guy.
Yeah.
So like for me, like just plain ice cream, strawberries there, waffle cone, mint chocolate chip, number 1 is what I buy all the time.
Yeah.
Simple syrup right now.
There you go.
Licky.
You get the waffle cones dipped in the chocolate.
I don't like chocolate.
Now you're cooking with gas. That's all I'm gonna say.
No thanks. It takes away from all the waffle.
I'm just gonna say.
All right. Who's next on the list?
Next
More
on,
ice cream, please.
Next, yes, please. Next on the list, Trevor Etienne. Sorry, I have to scroll up. Georgia running back, 5'8 3/4", 198 pounds, 9.5-inch hands. He is another 20-year-old. He'll be 21 in July. He ran a 4.42 in the 40 at a 1.52 10-yard split, which are both exceptional. A broad jump of 124 inches, 35-inch vertical. Last year at Georgia, he had the 45th best run blocking offensive line in front of him, and he had 122 attempts, 609 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, 32 receptions, 194 yards receiving, and no receiving touchdowns.
So watching tape is a subjective process. I try as hard as I can to be unbiased when I watch players, but it's nearly impossible. So going into Trevor Etienne, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this guy's all name and no substance. Like, that's really what I thought. Transferring from Florida to Georgia, I saw one game that he was just okay.
Well, there's not much production either.
Right. And so I was like, this was the one where I literally called, I told these guys earlier, I called Jared at one point, and I literally, or maybe it was a voice message, either way, I was like, I'm sick of having so many good running backs. I was like, I know this sounds like a stupid thing to say, but I'm getting tired of there being so many good running backs, because I want an easy evaluation where it's just like, this guy's not very good. And I can just watch 4 games quickly, don't have to rewind a crazy amount, and it's just obvious he doesn't have it. And there's just so many good ones. And he was another one that just ended up being a really solid running back. And when I watched this tape, solid vision. I wouldn't say elite, but solid vision. Much more elusive than I expected him to be. I did not expect him to be that elusive.
He's a very different running back than his brother. Like,
he
let's
is.
just get that out of the way.
100%, because Travis Etienne is much more like Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
Not the top end speed, but quick acceleration, straight line runner.
Yep.
That's not Trevor at all. And I remember even listening to an interview with Travis Etienne, and he talked about Trevor being like this little chubby kid, and he was surprised that he ended up being like such a good running back. He was like, I didn't think it would turn out like this, but look at him, like, like, this is cool.
I didn't think he was going to run as fast as he did.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. And, but I had a solid number, and almost across, like, I didn't have anything on his tape that was below average. And I think that's a really, it's hard to say that about running backs. Like, that's really hard to say.
You're above average.
You are at or above average in everything. And so I think all of that being said, like, he kind of surprised me when it was all said and done. Now, his score is still the 13th best score, but he was over a 72. He had a 72.2. So he's just a tick below Ollie Gordon. He's like right in that same tier with Ollie Gordon for me. I don't know what, like, I'm at the point where I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
There's just going to be so many good running backs that teams are just going to say, like, even if they're like, I can't get an elite guy, but man, I have a good offensive line. This guy will get the job done. Trevor Etienne could absolutely be one of those players.
And you know what? I think this is, when you talk about the nerd herd and what you get, and you get the app, and you get the film room, and you get the lineup optimizer, and all these tools. It's what helps with the nerd score so much, because, like, again, you're talking about like 0.3 difference. So you're like, oh, yes. Who do I go with? Who do I go with? Like, that's a tiebreaker for you. Like, okay,
100%.
I like his pass protection just a little bit more, and like that's why, like, where you're going to the nerd score plus.
To factor all that extra
the draft
stuff
capital will kind of break all those tiers. So you say, like, I don't know what to do. I think we're doing it right now. We're breaking it down, finding we do like a lot of players. They're really clumped together, which we're splitting hairs on. And I think the NFL draft will kind of just split those hairs a little bit more and kind of just solidify the guys and give us a really good feel of, like, okay, I like this guy's situation slightly better. I'm gonna go here.
Well, we'll be able
some of me misses and some of me hits.
We'll be able to stack clumps. Nick, there are guys clumped together, and right now they're all kind of mashed. We don't know what the heck where they're supposed to go, but the NFL draft will help
for sure.
At least figure that out.
And the nice part about the nerd score too is it helps you see tiers a lot clearer too. Because if I were to tell you this guy's my running back 5 and this guy's my running back 7, there could be no gap at all. They could basically be the same player. There could be a huge difference between my running back 5 and my running back 7. And I think that's the nice part about some of these scores is, and we can verbally say that too, but often you'll just look at a sheet of rankings and be like, why would I take running back 12 when I could take running back 9? Well, it's because there's not much of a difference.
Right.
So
it's why some people that don't like rankings and they just want to have tiers. Like, hey, this is a tier, this is a tier, and you can clump how you want. And that's how it usually is. Like, our job is to rank people in order. Because when you're at, because listen,
because eventually you do have to make a choice.
You could tier people, and that's what the thing. You could put people in tiers all you want, but when you're on the clock and you have rookie pick 205,
you can't just say, I'll take these 4 players.
Yeah,
this
I'm gonna take James Jordan. I'm gonna take Trevor Etienne. You just let it all work out. Whoever's better, I'll get back with you. This is a stipulated draft pick.
It's the old player to be named later.
Yeah,
what's the big deal?
But I already took him now, but I said I could get him later.
Did you go on Etienne yet?
I didn't go on Etienne yet. I do like a lot of what you said. The one thing that I wasn't able to evaluate because I just didn't really see it on tape was his pass pro. He went out on almost any time there was he just always went out on a route. I saw literally one rep that was like passable. I was like, all right, it looks okay. I can't really give you like a solid grade one way or the other because I don't really know what that's going to look like down in and down out. But I don't know. Was it like?
I thought it looked okay.
Was
pass production.
Was Trevor in like a square peg in a round hole in that Georgia offense a little bit? I felt like they kept trying to get him to go between the tackles. He's like this 198-pound guy. And I felt like when he was able to work his way to the outside, or if there was a design play out there, I think he looked more natural out there. I think, with a little bit more space, he was able to see things better and make people miss, more efficiently. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think, the production doesn't look great, but I do think there's more in there to get out. So I don't have like a super high grade anywhere on him. Like any one spot, I'm not like he's exceptional at this.
Correct.
But he is good all the way across the board, and he's faster than I thought he was going to be. Another guy that I think maybe was more patient than I thought. And then I get the speeds going, oh crap, like maybe he's got more high end speed than I thought.
One thing you said I think is funny because you're like the production, and I don't know how it all works out and fitting in the wrong system. He was at 2 schools in Florida and Georgia that tend to not give big workloads to players,
right.
Which always makes those guys kind of difficult evaluations too, because you get 8 carries this game, you get 11 that game, you get 7 this game. And it's like, I want to see him get going. I want to see him get lathered up and, like,
sure.
It can be frustrating.
At 198 pounds, I don't know, like what he's going to be, but
he's smaller than I thought. I thought he played more physical than the 198.
And maybe he dropped weight
to run a better 40,
to get the speed that people weren't expecting. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's where I'm having an issue reconciling. Is he fast? Is he not? What size is, like, all of that kind of didn't seem right to me either. So maybe that's what it was. He just shed like 10 pounds to run a better 40. Cause I could see him probably being closer to, his brother's 215 pounds.
Right. He looked bigger on tape,
especially in the lower leg. Like he looked pretty thick and able to do some stuff. So we'll see. I don't know. I like him. He's going to be another one of these guys in the bunch, and another guy that's 20 years old. So a lot of room to grow, which is great. We needed a fresh batch of really young guys after the way we've kind of been getting a bunch of these older guys. We got an older guy coming up right next, but
we got an Amazon warehouse full of them.
Right, exactly. We're overloaded with older guys.
For me, Trevor Etienne was somebody I actually went into it with a preconceived notion because everything I heard about him was negative. Like, oh, his brother is the first. Like, this guy's not new. You can't touch his brother. Like, I just kept. I don't know where I heard it or what throughout like the last year, but I just heard like real bad things about Trevor Etienne. To the point, like, I went to it like, his brother is a first round pick. He's just gonna be straight trash. Came away the complete opposite feeling of that. Like, I actually thought he was a pretty smooth operator. I thought he had really good hands. I thought they were super sticky. I think he moves really well, doesn't lose any playing speed when he's out on the field, which is really, really nice. We like to see. Catches everything near him, at everything at all. Like I said, not a lot to go off of there, but what I saw, I thought it was pretty nice. And I was like, you know what he kind of reminds me of is like, somebody like, he could be like a James Cook. Like, it's kind of remind of, because when we watch James Cook film, like we broke down his
Georgia
film,
back.
Yep.
Yeah, same thing. And I was like, we watch his film, same kind of thing. Like, he's more just like this third down running back, the pass catcher running back. We're breaking down his film. Like, we don't know if he's ever going to be the guy, right? The starting running back. And this last year proved he's the guy. Like, James could be the guy. So I'm like, so how does he stack up to James Cook even? And so I went back and I actually brought up James Cook combine as well. And it's honestly, I was like, wow, look at me. This is scary. It's scary similar. So James Cook is 2 inches taller than Etienne. But besides that, everything is almost identical. Their 40 time, exactly the same. They ran a 4.45. Their broad jump, exactly the same. A 1.51 10-yard split compared to Etienne's 1.55. And Cook's got 1 inch longer hands. Besides that, from athletic profiles, they're the exact same player. So when we talk about his size and his abilities, just a patch catch running back, not saying he's going to be that, but I just want to use it as a frame of reference. That's what everybody said James Cook was going to be. And then we were completely flabbergasted. They won the second round ahead of some other running backs. We're like, wow, how did James Cook go ahead of this running back?
I don't remember who it was at the time, but I was
like totally
and
a gap.
728 yards is all James Cook had the year before he came out, or the year he came out, and 27 catches, 284 yards receiving.
Yes, and you're talking about him. He has 610 yards, pretty much, 9 touchdowns, 194 receiving yards. So they were very like same school, very similar, like what you got to see on tape wise. Mm-hmm. And I went into that like, is that all he could do? It's kind of negative, and that's when it hit. And I was like, what about like that's the same thing I thought about James Cook, and it's kind of like reminds me of that some. And seeing the success that he has, knowing his brother, the success his brother had as well, tells me there is a path here for him. And I like what you like 13. I'm fine with that. With again, the NFL draft is going to tell me a little bit more of where I value Etienne.
James Cook went in the second round. None of us really thinks Etienne is going to go that high. No. So having him at 13, I think is reasonable.
I didn't think James Cook was going.
Etien went. Did you say second round?
James Cook went second round.
Cook went second round.
I was like, no, he went the first.
Surprise. None of us see Trevor going in the second round.
But we didn't see James Cook go in the second round either is my point.
Right. So
just saying,
we'll see. I think I'd be pretty shocked if he went in the second round.
I would be too. I like his tape enough where I went into it with a negative attitude.
Right.
I do too.
Not a ton to see, but a very solid running back who's exceptional in the passing game. Again, that's where I want him to live. As well. So totally happy with Trevor Etienne. I love where, like, I don't have my overall big board done, but 13 sounds pretty damn close of where I'll probably have him. Cause I have all this, I'll say this, out of like, I think this, what are we talking about? 12 guys here. 12 guys, I probably have them right around like 4 or 5 out of those 12, right around there.
Makes
These
sense.
guys.
Which I mean is the fact that he'll, land somewhere in the teens in the running back rankings just shows how much great
hilarious.
value there's going to be in those middle rounds
Yeah.
of this year's draft. Where in the past, we've completely punted on third round draft picks. This might not be a bad year to have some of those middle third, second, third, fourth,
High middle
round.
thirds,
Yep.
like late seconds are gonna be pretty, like at least upside wise. You're gonna get a guy that
You'll go from the 8% hit rate to, maybe we can get closer to 15. We'll get 2 or 3 guys in the third round.
Just because there's so many running backs, and that's one of those positions that sometimes hits.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, just imagine a
could
Superflex
boost the
leagues,
average
you
slightly.
know?
Still remember it's a long shot.
right.
But
Well, we're talking like there's 12 to 13 running backs that we really like here that we think are solid, could be fantasy football running backs, right? So like say 12, 13.
I have 13 running backs over a 72. So yep.
It's called the number 13, right? So it's put you at 2-1 just on running backs. And you're going to have 3 quarterbacks for sure, which puts you at 16 players, right? Like, and then that's even meant, I'm calling Jackson Dart, Sanders, and Ward. And I actually like Jackson Dart really close with Sanders here. Like I almost want the Browns to take Jackson Dart. That's 16. You got 4 solid tight ends. They're going to get a draft capital. Put you at 20. And then you got the receivers.
Yeah, you haven't even gotten in the receivers.
Yeah.
Yet.
So that's putting you about 29 players, which is going to put you right in the middle of the third round. That you like. Now, half of those guys will end up not doing much at all, but you're going to come away out of the draft like we all do in a rookie draft. Like, dude, at 3-2,
Feeling good. Yep.
Yeah, I got a
feel good.
Arroyo.
Yeah.
I got Represado. Like I got so and so. I got Trevor Etienne at 3-2, bro. Championship going with my Matthew Golden and Ashton Genty. Look at me. So real excited. Another solid running back. All right, boys, before we go on to our next prospect, I got to tell you about our friends at myffpc.com, established in 2010, and one of the best dynasty hosting platforms you can find in Dynasty Fantasy Football today. Very compatible with the Dynasty Nerds GM as well. Right now, they still have a limited supply of orphans left. So if you want to get in there and find a good discounted team that you can take over and rebuild, maybe they have the draft picks that you want or the team structure that you like, you can get in there and use the promo code NERDS and get $25 off any team that you feel fits your best way to play Dynasty Fantasy Football. It's such a secure way to play. Payouts are guaranteed. They've never had a league fold since 2010. You can play all kinds of money platforms. You hear me talk about it all the time. Maybe you're a high stakes player. This is the platform for you. Or maybe you just don't have enough people you want to play in Dynasty League with that you trust, because trust matters. You don't want a league to fold on you after you commit so much time, so much money. And again, you trade away future draft picks. You want to make sure you have security in that. My FFPC gives you just that. Check them out. myffpc.com. Use the promo code NERDS, get $25 off, and play some great Dynasty Fantasy Football. Who's next?
Next up is Woody Marks, USC running back, 5'10" and 1/8", 207 pounds, 9-inch hands. He is 24. He'll be 25 right at the end of December.
Hurts a little.
Whew. He had a 4.54 in the 40, a 1.57 10-yard split, 119-inch broad jump, 35-inch vertical. Last year, he had the 83rd best run blocking unit in front of him, and he had 198 attempts, 1,133 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, 47 receptions, 321 yards, and no touchdowns.
Yeah, so, I mean, with Woody Marks, he comes away for me, like, we're sitting there highlighting running backs, like, this guy is not at the top of the list. But at the same time, he's a very solid running back.
Yeah.
I mean, he's somebody that, like, he's not like this explosive running back. Like, he just kind of glides out there, right? Like, he's a smooth operator with pretty good vision.
Yep.
Only a good stat here: 1 fumble and 608 carries. So very sturdy hands. A one-cut runner, get upfield, not going to burn the field. Like, he's not going to run for an 80-yard touchdown or anything like that. But like,
definitely not.
Overall, real good vision, really good hands. I mean, he doesn't have the power and speed, but like, it hurts he's 24.
It hurts that he's 24, going to be 25
in
season.
It hurts that he's in such a strong class.
Yep.
But he's on my board because, like, he's the kind of guy, like, I draft in the 5th round of my rookie draft. He sits on my taxi squad for 2 years. If he gets a chance to start, I feel I could probably put him as a flex or something along those lines. We'll see. And after 2 years, he's off my taxi. He's off my dynasty team.
Right.
No big deal. But like, overall, like, not great, but not terrible.
I think as long as you, in general, don't view the running back position as a long-term asset, you'll be fine with Woody Marks, because I think he does a lot of things well, like you said. There's there was a year that he caught 83 balls for 502 yards. Dude can catch, you know what I mean? The dude can be involved in the passing game, if nothing else. And I think he offers a little bit more. At 207 pounds, he's like a odd tweener. Like he's big enough that he can operate between the tackles. He doesn't have much real power or anything like that, but
he uses he has some nice moves to make people like get off defenders. Like he'll like, juke his shoulder and helmet, kind of like.
But he can lean. He can drive his legs. He can do something. You know what I mean? So there's definitely stuff to like. If he wasn't 24, 25, going to be 25 next year, I think I'd be a lot more interested in him. But because he catches the ball so well. I would think this guy can develop into something. But at 24, 25 years old, there's not a lot of room to develop. So I think he's going to come into the NFL. He's going to be a pass catching back. That's where it'll start and likely end for him within the three, within that first contract.
Like NFL draft pick.
Right. So I think he's going to be a late draft pick. I think he's going to go to a team that wants a guy that catches the ball to complement their guy that maybe doesn't catch the ball. And that'll be kind of his thing. He'll in the perfect scenario, if he is in like this crazy offense that loves throwing the ball a lot to their running backs, he could sniff RB2 numbers or something like that with that kind of workload. Who knows?
He goes somewhere like Baltimore. They use him on third downs. He's a pass catcher running back. Derrick Henry gets a boo-boo. He gets a couple games to play as a starter, and he does okay.
Right.
I'm not super high on Woody Marks. He's my second lowest score.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I really didn't like him very much. I thought he had subpar vision. I didn't really see him break many tackles. Almost no power element to his game at all.
Yeah, no power.
I'm fine. You guys mentioned pass catching role. That's one of the highest. I think that is his elusiveness and his pass catching are my two highest marks. So if he was strictly purely that, I do think there is a path. So that's why he's not completely off my board. But I thought as a runner, he was pretty subpar. I did not like him as a runner at all.
I thought it was fine.
I
want to preface to say he's really low on my board too.
Yeah.
But I think again, it goes back to this is like a really strong class.
It's a strong class, and he's 25.
So for me, it's truly just purely there's enough like elusiveness and enough pass catching that I see a path, so he won't be off my board. But I did not like him as a runner, and I don't see a path there at all.
He's a guy you take the last round of your rookie draft, you stash him, you know what you have on a taxi squad, easy to cut bait on, no big deal.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. We're like talking about high. I'm more like I still lean your side. Like he's lower on my board.
You want to take him in the 5th round?
I didn't mean to sound so high on him. I don't know.
Yeah,
Did I come out?
No,
maybe I was very negative,
right.
but I see one path and one path. I'm like a Doctor Strange right now. Yeah. Like there's one future, there's one possibility where this works out.
I think that's kind of what we said too, though.
You said it kinder.
Yeah, I said it nicer.
It's just, he was like, I didn't hate, you know what I mean? Like, again, he's just fine. Like, sometimes like, this guy's off my board. He sucks. Like, I have no problem saying that. But this guy was like,
yeah, I'm fine with him as a pass catcher. I think I just dislike him more as a runner than you guys did.
Here's a better way. Like a lot of times we talk about these guys that are this low. I just want to find reasons. Like I don't want to have to. I don't even want to draft them. I started trying to come out. Like I try to tell people. Like
most years, if we have like 3 guys that are even kind of interesting in a show, we're happy.
Like you're wasting a draft pick. But like that's my point. Is like I don't think he's a waste of a draft. I think the biggest thing here is I don't think he's a waste of a draft pick. He's just a very low one. But like I'm like I got Woody Marks. We'll see. Probably nothing. But every 5th round pick is or nothing.
Is a probably
every 4th round pick is. Guys
even
that will go
3rd round picks are 8% chance. Like
100%. So it's like they're all gambles anyways. It's just this is an old one that's not very strong.
Let's move on to our next 3rd round draft.
Kind of a shocker on this one.
And Antario Brown, Northern Illinois running back, 5. There's no real number for him, so I'm going to go based off of a couple different websites here. 5'10", maybe 214, maybe 219.
With ESPN or college reference.
Yep.
Whatever Google told me.
Exactly. Last year he ran behind the 22nd best offensive line, which pretty impressive.
Yeah.
For Northern Illinois, and in only 8 games last year, he had 115 carries, 567 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. 8 receptions, 204 yards, and an additional touchdown. I can't remember what the injury was. It was like a leg.
It's a leg injury.
Yeah.
I looked really hard to try to figure out the specific.
Sometimes there are none.
Yeah. And colleges, especially smaller colleges, like they're not going to be any more specific than they need to be.
Yep.
But I literally just saw, because I was looking that up today, I saw videos of him working out and stuff like that, saying he'll be totally fine, good to go. So I'm not 100% sure what happened, but I don't think it's anything we have to worry about into the future necessarily. And I don't think it was like an ACL, because I didn't see anything about surgery or anything like that. So I think it was, I really don't know.
Don't speculate.
I really don't.
It was a leg.
It was on the lower half of his body.
And he basically didn't play football after November 6th.
Right. So obviously the numbers are not going to be quite as good because of that. But there were two reasons that I wanted to watch this guy. Because he's the only player in our running back group that was not invited to the combine.
Mm-hmm.
There were two guys that were invited to the combine that we're not covering here, but we might cover in our extra. We always do a guys we missed one.
Sure.
If they get any buzz, we'll throw them in and maybe talk about them, but they didn't really do anything special at the combine either, so probably won't. But all that being said, the reason I had him in here is 2023 was interesting. Put up over 1,200, almost 1,300 rushing yards in his junior campaign. The second reason was specifically because I wanted to see how did you do what you did to Notre Dame. Notre Dame was in the national championship game against Ohio State, and you had over 200 all-purpose yards against Notre Dame,
225.
Yeah.
And
they're a great defense.
Yep.
They're a great defense. So I wanted to see like what was all of that about. Even if it was a fluke, it's at least worth talking about when you do it against that kind of defense, when you're that type of school. And by the way, they upset them. They beat Notre Dame. That was Notre Dame's one loss before they lost to Ohio State in the national championship game. So all that being said, watching his tape, do I think he's like, wow, why didn't they invite him to the combine? He's special. Like nothing like that. But I did walk away very impressed with his game. I think he's a very solid running back. He's a well-built running back. Mm-hmm. He's got some nice juice, which is weird because watching him run, he looks a little unorthodox. Like he's got a bit of a weird gait when he runs a little bit, but yet I still see him destroying angles. Yep. And so
that was my biggest thing. I was like, wow, man, for how big he is, the way he can, like you said, destroy an angle, he's got super loose ankles.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because again, I thought we always have these players why did Garrett put this guy on the list? I'm just
sure.
Fergs. And I thought for sure, because this is the last player I watched. Yep. This is the 12th player I watched. I was like, this is here. Okay, this guy's going to be a turd.
This will be quick.
I was like,
get it over with.
He's better than three of the other running backs I saw for sure. And again, we only had 3 games in the film room, so it wasn't a ton to watch, but I'm with you. The way he's able to move was such a shocker to me.
And he was a very natural pass catcher too. You saw some things over the shoulder. Now, I will say in the Notre Dame game, there were 2 of his big plays were broken plays.
Yep.
The one pass catch he had. Now, great on him for being able to catch it, because it was 2 defenders and his I think it was his tight end.
I don't know how that pass got through. I don't know how he caught it.
I have no idea.
And then it was
a 90-yard touchdown.
Then he outran everyone, and no one was gaining on him.
No.
That's the thing. I sat there and looked. I'm like, is anyone gaining ground on this dude? No one was on the whole Notre Dame defense.
So
that's good. I mean, that's good enough for me to be like, this dude's fast.
Yeah, he's fast. I didn't see him. I wanted him to be with that weight. I wanted him to be a little more powerful than he was. I didn't see a lot of move the pile.
I have questions about that.
Truck guys.
I have questions about this 219, this 215.
I wonder if it's more like a 205
and possibly the 5'10". I know,
and that's the hard part when guys don't go to the combine.
Exactly. I want to know how big this guy is, because I feel like he could be a 5'8", 205-pound guy.
Yeah, because he's not physically imposing.
And all this would start making a lot more sense. He as almost like an MJD type of player.
Sure.
Who's fast, who catches the ball, who is able to make moves on guys that just don't seem to make sense for a bigger back, because they're a little bit lower to the ground than you realize, and stuff like that. And he's fast enough to beat angles, which is crazy.
I mean, I even saw times where he would catch like some of the Notre Dame defenders flat-footed.
Yep.
Like there was one time specifically on the sideline where they had him dead to rights, and they were both like almost stopped. Although he still had his feet chopping, he had him almost stopped, the Notre Dame defender, and it was like a safety or corner. It was a quicker guy, and then all of a sudden he'd be like beats him to the corner, and I was like, how did that shouldn't work?
Right.
That shouldn't work, but it did. So I think all in all, not necessarily somebody I'm like, oh, you've got to like get him, but he's going to be like Tyrone Tracy was for me last year, where I'm saying, hey, this is a guy that probably on talent could be a 3rd round rookie pick in your drafts, but you're going to get him in the 5th because nobody knows his name.
And that's where I was going right there. This is one of the benefits of like listening to podcasts. This is something that I don't think anybody else is going to be talking about.
Nope.
And I like the upside. Again, is he going to be? He needs to be. You know what? It remind me of who was the running back that the Browns took out of the really small school. They took 2 running backs
Felton?
that year. No, it was
How long ago?
Dorial Green Beckham, Mike Evans draft, I believe. The Browns took the 1 running back in the 2nd round. It was a small school.
Jerome Harrison.
No. Oh man, I can't even think of the first running back. They took 2 running backs.
Okay.
They actually might have taken this running back first, actually. And they took the guy who ended up being the starter went later, who was even small score. He had some like off the field issues. Oh man, like the Mike Evans draft. It kind of reminds me of that. But like I thought he was gonna be really good. Ended up being a bust. And oh man,
I must
Ray
have,
Agnew?
I must have flushed that turd.
keep talking, Garrett, so I could look this up.
Okay, yeah, look it up and see. But yeah, all in all, like if you are playing at a school, and I think this is what it came down to for me. If you're playing at a school like Northern Illinois, and you go up against Notre Dame, they went up against North Carolina State, they went up against like some bigger schools, and he's still able to perform. That's interesting to me. So I'm very much so like in my 5th rounds, and like there's a lot of rookie drafts where it's 4 rounds or even 3 round rookie drafts. Like this is somebody after your draft that you prioritize as an ad, and you put them on the end of your bench for just in case.
I have a really good comp here.
Okay.
Old school. Also went to a really small school. Went to Townsend.
Okay.
Terrence West.
Okay.
Right.
I remember liking his tape coming out. Terrence West. I'm like, oh, and then the Browns took him like
3rd round or something, right?
Yeah, like somewhere high. And like so he like shot up NFL like.
And then what's his name was before him, like Lee Suggs or somebody ended up playing more than him.
No, it was another.
Lee Suggs, I think, was early.
That was too early.
Yeah, Lee Suggs was earlier. Lee Suggs was like
Isaiah Crowell.
It
was the same draft, and he ended up being better.
He ended up being better, but his tape was really good, but he had a lot of off-field issues. So that's why he fell in the draft, because we liked Isaiah Crowell a lot too. Mm-hmm. Terrence went higher. We're like, oh wow, Terrence West shot up our draft boards because we were doing rookie breakdowns.
Crowell went undrafted, right?
I think so. He was either a late guy or undrafted.
I think he went undrafted.
That was, if you go back, that was the year we started, 2014. It's when we started Dynasty Nerds.
Oh,
hey.
That was our very first rookie breakdowns. Terrence West was on there. It's like a nice little running back that we thought had some talent. So same thing, like Antario Brown kind of falls in that category. Could be, again, doesn't mean he's going to be good, but like I like
worth
the gamble on.
The gamble for sure.
And the thing is, you're going to get him, like Garrett said, in the 5th round of your rookie draft, where nobody else even know who he is, and you're going to grab him like, just off of like, hey, you know what? All 3 of the Dynasty Nerds kind of like this guy. I'm going to take him. And he goes so late. Who cares if he hits or not? But like,
absolutely,
nice player.
Absolutely nice.
Just under a 70 for me, so not a terrible score.
All right, first 12 running backs are in the books. We have 30 more?
No. Running backs? No, we have 18 more.
18 more running backs to go. And some of those guys are pretty good. Some are going to be significantly better than that. Trevor Henderson, Quinshawn Junkins, Devin Neal.
Just to name a few.
Cam Scatterbo. Can't wait. So we'll be back next week with more Dynasty rookie running back talk. Can't wait to dive in, boys. See you next week.
Adios.
Hey, Nerd Herd. Dynasty Nerds has an incredible new offer from Underdog Fantasy for new customers. When you sign up as a new customer, you'll get a chance at their new customer free pick. But that's not all. Underdog is also offering incredible deposit bonuses. Use the promo code NERDS when you first sign up, and Underdog will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash with your first deposit. That's right, $1,000 to kickstart your fantasy football journey. Don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app. Sign up today with promo code NERDS and start your journey to fantasy football glory today. Must be 18, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. And in Tennessee, call 1-800-889-9789.